Hello, this is Jefferson from Giving is Good. Today we have a friend of ours, Corey Harris from Abbey's House Foundation. And Corey, I've known, he's in the real estate business. Him and his mother, Beth Harris, they have a real estate operation and a team, and they do a lot of real estate. And then a couple of years ago, they, because of somebody in their family, were inspired to start Abbey's House. And through Abbey's House, what they are doing is they are people that have, well, let's talk about Abbey. Abbey has spina bifida, and through her needs as she grew and got a little older and then grew up in their home and their residence and was in a wheelchair, then she couldn't get around so much in that home, and y'all started seeing this need arise. And through Abbey's House, what they're doing is they are working on small construction projects with families who are walking into this type of environment, because commercial has ADA compliant building codes for commercial, but residential properties don't have that. So what happens when somebody starts to get a disease and they're put in a wheelchair? What happens to their world? And how do they get to the bathroom? How do they get down the hall? So what Corey at Abbey's House and what they're starting to do is work on these smaller projects and help these families that are being brought to them. And that's kind of a simple way to put it. But Corey, can you tell us a little bit about what y'all's family experience was and what Abbey is going through and how you got here? You know, sure. How did Abbey's House come about, and kind of walk us through that?
I'd be happy to. And first of all, thank you so much for doing this. This is such a wonderful opportunity that you've afforded foundations like myself to come out and raise awareness. And, you know, awareness is just one of those things that we throw around and we take for granted, but there's so many things out there that exist in our community that people really struggle with every day, and we're just not aware of them.
True.
And we're not aware of them because they just don't affect us. And so that doesn't make us bad people that we're not aware. It's just that we have been fortunate enough to escape this particular problem, whereas you may be aware of many other things that I'm not. So thank you for the opportunity to just come in and spread a little bit of awareness about the problem and awareness about what we think is a solution. So thank you.
We appreciate that.
Abbey, as you mentioned, is my niece. She's the daughter of my older brother, and she's a terrific young lady. In fact, she just made 11 in the end of February. And so she's a great kid. She's as sharp as they come, and she's an adventurous spirit. I mean, she's a very dedicated Girl Scout. You probably, if you're in the Arlington area, you've probably seen Abbey out in front of the stores selling Girl Scout cookies. Yeah. She plays baseball with the Miracle League. She's become one of their little poster children. She was on their golf towels a few years ago. They use her a lot in their marketing promotions because she's just a beautiful blonde-headed little girl with a great personality. Absolutely.
Living out there doing everything.
And she does extreme sports. She does skating. You know, she does a skate park with her wheelchair. You know, man, they go up ramps and jumps and all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's crazy stuff. They got like these special wheelchairs and like motocross helmets.
Really?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's hardcore stuff. She does water skiing with another organization called Rise.
Okay.
Adaptive Sports. It's these like recreational sports for people with handicaps, physical disabilities. So, I mean, she's just an amazing person.
Nothing slowing her down.
Oh, not at all. No, not at all. And so it's just been a pleasure to watch her as she's developing into a young lady. But as you mentioned, she was born with spina bifida. And so that was a struggle for my brother and my sister-in-law, obviously right out of the gate, into what to do. And we'd never had any experience like this in our family. And so we came together. We're fortunate to have a pretty close family unit, and we pulled together, and we got them through those early years of infancy and toddler and all that stuff. But then when she was becoming of age where she could actually be fitted for a mobile device where she can get around and get some independence, she did. And it was at that time we realized just how limited she would be in her home. My brother and my sister-in-law's first home was a nice house, nice neighborhood, but a 50s built like pier and beam home in a older neighborhood.
Kind of.
Exactly right. Yeah. So, pier and beam right off the bat, you're off the ground a little bit.
Right.
problem number one for a wheelchair.
Got to get a ramp to get up.
That's right.
To the area.
Whether you're going up the front or the back, because you got a front porch and a back porch. And then also those homes in the 50s, I guess people were just a little bit smaller, but the doorways are smaller.
Yeah.
The bathrooms are smaller. The bedrooms are smaller.
Right.
So the kitchen was more narrow. So there was all these different obstacles about the house. And unfortunately, the person who really suffers from that is Abbey. I mean, she's the one who really has to be limited in her home.
She's kept out of some areas.
Absolutely.
In a home, in an older style home like that.
Yeah, she's kept out of some areas, and what she's had to do is adapt.
Yeah.
So where she couldn't get her mobile device in there, I mean, she frankly just had to get out and crawl.
Gotcha.
And that's not an ideal situation. And so my brother and my sister-in-law certainly struggle with that. I mean, it's hard as a parent to go through that. And so when they started looking at the modifications necessary for the home, it was almost overwhelming, as you can imagine. I mean, what it would take to widen hallways, widen doors, make these things happen. So they elected to just, they built a home that was more accessible for her. And we were talking one day about it, and while they were still building, and we were just saying, what do people do if they can't go buy another house?
Yeah.
If they can't build a home? What do they do?
How do they solve the problem?
Well, the answer, as we just kind of sat around, meditating on this question that just was kind of thrown out into the air, well, the answer became abundant. They don't do anything. They can't. If a choice has to be made between widening a doorway or paying the mortgage, one is going to get done.
Right.
I know which one I would do.
Right.
Putting groceries on the table or building a ramp. One certainly is in a higher priority than the other. So unfortunately, there's some families that are just in a position where they don't have that kind of supplemental income where they can make these home modifications. So that was the origin of this idea, of this endeavor. And we thought, certainly there's got to be some kind of an organization out there that provides funding for these situations. And I'm not saying there isn't one out there, but we certainly couldn't find one. And if there is, it's not exclusive to this. Okay. They may provide a program like this in conjunction or something like that, but it's not exclusively for physically handicapped children. And that's what we focus on.
Okay.
These are for children under the age of 17
okay.
who have a physical disability. Now, I understand there are children with emotional and other disabilities as such. My oldest son is on the autism spectrum, so I'm aware of some of the other disabilities that are available. But, somebody once said, if you try to save the whole world, you'll end up saving no one. So you have to have a niche, you have to have somebody that you're focused on helping, a cause that you're going to champion and make a difference. And this is our cause. It's children with a physical disability. It's
a focus. It
has to be a focus.
Lots of children in that age group and families that have a lot of different obstacles to overcome, especially in their home, right? So I bet there are lots of things that can be done for those families.
Absolutely. And so while we're focusing on these things, helping the children, the way the process that we have ironed out now. Before we get to the process, let me step it back for a second.
Sure.
So once we decided we were going to focus on this project, helping this need that was available, so we decided to put some legs on it. So through some experiences that I've had in different organizations, I kind of knew where to start, what the proper channels were for getting designations 501c3, setting up an official board of directors, having officers, and that way everything was nice and tidy on paper for the IRS and all that. So the family came together, and we are our board of directors. Me, my brother, my sister-in-law, my father, my mother. Right? We are the board of directors. So we make up the 5 members of the board. We held elections right there in my parents' kitchen. Yeah. I have the minutes. We held elections, and I was nominated and elected the chairman of the board, and Beth was nominated and elected the president of the foundation.
Okay. So
just to differentiate, I run the board operations and make sure that we do meet in accordance with our bylaws, the frequency that we have to meet, the meetings that we have to cover over a period of a year, and then the decisions of the board are carried out by the president. And she is kind of the chief drum banger, if you will. It's her duty to go out there and make sure that she's a good face in the community about what we're doing, that she's advertising it where she's going. We have incorporated our Abbey's House information onto our business cards. So if I give you one of my real estate cards, it has that on the front, and on the back, it's all the Abbey's House information.
Right.
So that way I tell people, look, if you ever need to get a hold of us for any reason, you're more than welcome to do so, and please share that with people.
It's a mission-minded business.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep, absolutely. We donate frequently to our own cause. So Beth and I have an agreement that a percentage of our closings always go to Abbey's House. So we're feeding our own, and that's really the main source of contributions is from the
You're
family.
funding your foundation.
Yeah, and then we do have other donors.
Businesses.
We do have other donors. We've been very blessed that friends and family and local organizations have blessed us with contributions. So our base is building up nicely. We're in a position where we really can be doing some good for a good number of people.
Yeah.
So once we put some legs on that and got going, then the foundation was born. And so the official name of the foundation is Abbey's House Handy Home Makeover Foundation for Children. It's a bit wordy, so that's why it's just known as Abbey's House.
Yeah.
But I think we wanted to make sure we were clear in the name of who we are and what we do.
Okay.
Abbey's House is a great phrase. It's a great name. But I wanted people, when they saw us, to know exactly what we do. We're a handy, H-A-N-D-I, handy home makeover foundation for children. It really sums us all up in that one sentence.
So this year, give us an example of a project, because y'all are project oriented, right?
Sure.
Families are bringing projects to y'all, and you're going out, you're bringing in construction companies or contractors that y'all do business with, people
Sure.
when you're in the real estate business, you have lots of different contractors that you do business with that you need to help fix things. So it's kind of those two things work hand in hand. Yeah. So Abbey's House is an interesting accessory. It becomes a part of that because it's an extension of something that you already do, right?
Right. Absolutely.
So it's a great thought process to be able to do Abbey's House along with y'all's current business. So give us an example of one of y'all's projects, kind of walk us through what that looks like.
I'll tell you what, how about I just walk you through the process? And in that way you just kind of see it from start to finish. So if somebody recommended a family to us, or if a family contacted us directly and said, we have a child that has a physical disability and we'd like some help with some modifications in the home. Right. When's a good time where we can come to the home and meet your family?
Okay.
And so myself or Beth or both will actually go out there and we'll meet the family and we'll meet the child, of course, which is who we're really there to service. And then we'll take a look at, the house, what the features are. Us being in real estate for as long as we have, we kind of can identify certain things about a house, and so get a real good picture for the layout. Usually by just looking around the house, we can kind of see what the problem areas are. But we walk around a little bit, let us show us around, and then we sit down all together as a family, their family and us, and we talk about, okay, so what is the problem? What would you like to see changed?
Assess the needs.
That's exactly right. And then we talk about how it can be done. Just because you have a desire doesn't mean we can fill it. The house may not be suited for such a modification. So we have to evaluate those things.
Okay.
There's codes that have to be followed. We do everything 100% by the book. Our contractors are licensed if it's required. They're insured. If something requires a permit, it gets pulled. It gets inspected. So the work that we have done on the house is 100%, insured, licensed, permitted work. Yeah. Somebody's not going to come knocking on your door in 6 months and say that you didn't have a permit, so you need to reverse this work or something like that. We make sure that we're protecting the family and protecting ourselves and protecting our contractors.
Yeah.
So that's item number one. So you would tell us kind of what your hopes are, what you would like to see happen. At that point, Beth and our board will get together and we'll talk about the family, talk about our visit, what their goals are for their home and for their child. And then as a board, we'll make a decision as to what contractor we'd like to bring in to assess the home and assess their goals and to see how we can make it work. We want to get it as close as we possibly can to what they want. It's their home. We want this to be something that they want and approve of and be proud of. But again, the difference between the idea man and the architect and the engineer, right? Two different people. So, family's the architect, contractor's the engineer. So he'll or she'll tell us, okay, here's what you want, here's how we can make it happen, or here's as close as we can get to making it happen.
Okay.
At that point, we are really taking a back seat in this process because this is now between the contractor and the family. This has nothing to do with us.
Give the contractor a budget.
That's exactly right.
Because Abbey's House is funding
100%.
the project.
100%.
So that's
we ask
the main thing.
if the families are able to contribute at all. We ask if they can or will. They are not required. They will not receive less quality if they don't.
Right.
But we do ask, are you able to contribute anything to the project? If the project will cost $1,500, could you, $100, $1,500, or
because the more they can contribute, the more you can help.
Right. Well, it's just one of those things, right?
Yeah.
Can you help? Do you just need some assistance paying for it, or do you need the whole thing funded?
Right.
And again, there's no right or wrong answer here. We just want to make sure we understand what it is, because if you can contribute a little bit, please, because there's other families that can't contribute, and we want to keep our pool as nice as we can to help as many people as we can. Sure. And I didn't mention it, but we don't have any salaried positions or any expenses in our foundation. So if I'm traveling somewhere to go talk about the foundation, I don't have an Abbey's House gas card. That's just I just chalk it up to my donation to the foundation. If I'm going somewhere and having a dinner or something like that, for the foundation, we've been invited somewhere where we pay for that out of pocket. Even though it could be paid for out of the foundation, we don't. Right? We want to keep that money right where it is to be used for what it's supposed to be used for. So I just wanted to make that known that we're not padding.
Hey, that's important.
We're not padding numbers.
People are interested,
Yeah, 100%.
in that thought process.
And it's one of the bigger criticisms of some of the larger foundations is that, I'm not going to say any names or anything, but, people say, well, of every dollar you donate, only 10 cents actually goes to the cause. I'm not saying that's a right or wrong way. Some of these foundations give away, tens of millions of dollars.
Sure.
And when you have that kind of, a contribution payroll, it takes a lot of people to make that happen.
Absolutely.
It takes a lot of people making presentations, a lot of people going out and drumming up that kind of money.
Chasing funds.
I don't
and dealing with the
begrudge
government.
at all
Yeah.
big foundations that operate like a business. As long as they're staying true to their cause, that's fine, right? Sure. I mean, everybody's got to make a living, and if you want to make a living working for a foundation, fine. But that's just not how we're structured.
Yeah.
At least not at this time. Maybe in 50 years we'll be so big where we're actually building houses from the ground up and we've got to hire architects and planners. I mean, who knows what the future brings. But as of right now, 100% of what's donated to Abbey's House gets used 100% for that purpose.
Okay.
And that's to make home modifications for handicapped.
It's a good point to make because people do want to know that.
And so once the family and the contractor agree to the work, that's a contract between them and the family. And we agree to pay for it. Okay. That's all it is. So we'll say, Mr. Contractor, when you're finished, give us the bill. And that's it. Now, there are stipulations, one of which is the work will not be undone. So if that no longer suits the need years from now, we will not pay to have the work undone.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's just one of the things. So when we do it, it becomes part of the home at that point. We won't undo it. Another one is you do have to own the home or have a mortgage on the home. We won't make modifications to a home that you rent. It's just too sticky.
Yeah.
Landlords and things like that, it's just sticky.
Too many laws around that too.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things.
Too much liability.
A lot of people have found themselves in court with really great intentions.
Yeah.
And so, I'm not discounting the need that's there, but it's just not, again, what we're focusing on. We're focusing on people who own a home, they have a mortgage, and they can't afford to make the modifications. Okay?
Makes sense.
So, again, that's just some of the stipulations. We won't undo the work. We'll only do the modifications on a home that you own or have a mortgage on.
Sure.
And things of that. You know, child has to be under 17 when the work is completed, that kind of stuff.
Those are your parameters.
Yeah, we have some simple parameters, but it's not a big laundry list of red tape. If you were born between June 1st and June 3rd, none of that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We don't ask any income questions. I don't care how much money you make a year. I know a lot of people who make a lot of money and live paycheck to paycheck. Sure. I mean, we all have expenses. Living is expensive. Yeah. So I don't care how much money you make.
Right.
The question, because it's not about you. Mm-hmm. It's about this child. Because that child doesn't make any money.
Right.
Right. And they didn't pick this house. So, you know what I mean? They're in a situation that
you're just trying to improve that child's life.
Absolutely, right. 100%.
For the families that are in need and can't afford to do it themselves.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah. So, or even, like I said, if we can just help soften that blow a little bit. Yeah. Whereas, man, we could afford to do this, but it would really put us in a really tight financial situation. Can you help us? Sure.
The medical bills that are racked up during that family's lifetime with some of those disabilities and diseases are staggering. It's amazing.
Back to awareness, right, and ignorance, and my brother and his wife were happily ignorant on just how expensive it is. And I'm not talking about just doctor's appointments and things like that, but just the things that a child with spina bifida requires and how much those things cost and how frequently they have to be purchased. Now with our healthcare system, what it is, hey, no political judgment or nothing, but it is what it is. Yeah. Healthcare is a major expense for a lot of people, and more especially for people who have children with physical disabilities. So again, we're just trying to be a resource for people who are, probably strapped. They have a lot of expenses, and this just isn't one they can fit in their budget.
What's the goal for the next 2 to 3 to 5 years for you guys? I mean, what do you all see as what you're trying to accomplish? I mean, how many families do you think you can help? And I know that's kind of that question is loaded in a sense because you don't know what each project would cost.
Absolutely.
But, you've probably got an idea of what your guys are trying to accomplish.
Well, I'm kind of a big picture guy, and I've been accused of having, grandiose visions. So, I mean, sometimes I see things bigger than they're actually capable of being, but, I don't think that's so in this case. What I'd like to see is that Abbey's House gain enough momentum and enough support, and with our resources through real estate, more especially through developers and builders, that we could actually partner with builders who would put specifically in developments, homes that are specifically catered to handicapped kids. Okay. And we can call them Abbey's houses. So there's a couple of builders that I know are very philanthropic and they give a lot. So it just takes a while to cultivate those relationships and iron those things out. But eventually we'd like to get it to where families can come to us and have a home built for them that a child can grow up in. Yeah. Like in the case of Abbey, we knew from day one she was going to have these obstacles. Right. So if from day one that family could have had the resources to get with somebody, right, a beneficiary or a specific type of lender that would, work with them on getting this home and that kind of thing. So, and again, a lot of moving parts in here. Sure. I mean, you're talking about helping people out with mortgages and building expenses and all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, that's why we're talking, we're talking about the big picture and not all the building materials that are laying on the ground.
But it's a more specialized. So, I'll surmise that thought process.
Please do.
Maybe in a simple fashion, just the way I'm hearing it. You're looking maybe for a builder partner, and maybe a team that it takes to build a home, a title, a lender, an insurance, a builder, so that you could build more of kind of a special type property.
Yes.
For families that have children under the age of 17.
Correct.
With disabilities, so that they could grow up in a more compliant home that was catered to that child's needs.
Sure. Yeah.
What do you think?
I think that's a pretty darn good summation.
Okay,
I think you did all right with it.
All right.
Yeah.
So, you have to think about, hey, there's builders out there. There may be a builder that sees this and they go, wow, hey, if I build 20 homes and one or two of those, whatever that percentage is, I'd like to build an Abbey's house, and offer that type of a property, so that, if you think about it, that would get them some press too. So
sure.
There's probably a builder out there that would make some difference for, and that's probably a good business move, There's got to be a need. And I know y'all have uncovered the need, but there's got to be more families that need this.
Sure.
Right?
I encounter a lot of them all the time. Of course, we're active with the Miracle League. So, most of the kids that participate in Miracle League have physical limitations of sorts. Some of them severe physical limitations.
Yeah.
I'm involved with the Scottish Rite. People who know about the Scottish Rite Hospital in Dallas. And for those who don't, I'll plug it. It's a wonderful place. But the Scottish Rite Hospital is a hospital for children. My niece, Abbey, has been receiving physical therapy from there pretty much since the time she was born. And they do some of the most cutting-edge work for children with, spina bifida or other related,
cerebral
bone
palsy.
defects and, things like that. And prosthetics. Oh my goodness, kids born without limbs.
Mm-hmm.
The Scottish Rite Hospital in Dallas, they lead the world in prosthetics for children.
Yeah.
And the research that they do. It's incredible. But what's more especially incredible is, again, they help families regardless of their ability to pay. And it's funded and operated by Masons.
Yeah, it is very interesting. There's also another story, which I don't know if you've ever heard this, but there's a local football player that played for the Cowboys that finished his career in the Cowboys. And when he was born, he had some leg defects, and he was at the Scottish Rite at a very young age, and they fixed his braces and they helped his legs grow and heal, and he ended up playing for the Cowboys. Played for the Saints, the Cowboys, and the Broncos, and he lives right down the road. And when he tells his story, the Shriners, not the Shriners, but Scottish Rite made a huge difference in his life.
Shrine does too, though. You can,
absolutely.
And it's the same thing, Scottish Rite Masons and Shriner Masons. So the Masons of the world have these organizations like the Scottish Rite and the Shriners, and they have their individual hospitals. But Shrine focuses a lot on plastic surgery for burn victims and such. And I'll tell you what, they have the most sophisticated burn units in the world, truly. The work they do for children with cleft palates and so forth is truly remarkable. And I would challenge anybody, if you haven't looked up what these organizations are doing for those children, please do it. And if you know somebody who needs those kinds of services, contact the Scottish Rite Hospital or the Shriners Hospital. They will help, no matter what. So, but anyway, those kinds of places are also resources for us, because a lot of those children have physical disabilities. So I know how many children are out there that have these disabilities.
These needs.
Now, the question is are they in situations where we can help? Are they in a situation where they need somebody to help them out with some home modifications, or are they fortunate enough to be able to have a home that was built for them, or where their parents could move to another home or make modifications to that home? So that's the key, is just identifying who is actually in need.
Interesting.
And that's where we call on the help of other people. If you have a neighbor, somebody that you see is kind of struggling to get their child up the driveway or something like that, ask them. Be frank enough to say, do you need some help?
Sure.
Is there something somebody could do to make this a little bit easier?
I'm assuming probably one of your stronger needs is money to run that type of a foundation, to meet those types of needs, to fund construction projects. Sure. It's typically money, right?
Typically, but no, it's only because when you get right down to it, just about any problem in the world can be solved with enough money. I had a real good friend of mine who got his master's degree in engineering from UTA, and we had classes on campus together at the same time. So we like to frequently have coffee or something between courses. And I asked him about engineering and stuff. I said, let me ask you this. I said, is it possible to build a bridge from New York to London? Is that possible? And he said, absolutely. How much money do you have? And I kind of laughed, but he said, no, really. He goes, there's nothing that can't be done. You just need the resources. Sure. That's all you need. Yeah. He goes, there's plenty of smart enough people to get it done. How much money do you have, and how important is it to you? So it seems like a callous answer to say, well, we just need more money. But no, really, I mean, resources are invaluable. But beyond that, we need some cheerleaders. We need some people that know what we do, what we're trying to do, and are willing to either invite us to a group that they're a part of to spread our message, or, again, you see a neighbor struggling with a child in the driveway or trying to get up the homemade ramp they've got going up to the front door, to approach them and say, hey, I might know somebody that can help you guys out. You should give them a call. And it's not about the parents. It's about the child. And one of the things I can't stress enough, and the biggest motivator for me and for us in this project, is it's about dignity. Your home is the place you should be the most comfortable. You shouldn't be afraid of anything. You shouldn't be locked out of anything. There should be no mystery in your home. We have that as people. Mm-hmm. And so for a child to not have the freedom to go about their home as any other child would, it's heartbreaking. I mean, especially when I consider as they get older, right, and they want more privacy, obviously. Yeah. I remember being a teenager and such. I mean, I had to have my own bathroom. I wanted my own space. Sure. And, in some of these cases,
it's part of becoming independent.
Parents have to carry their 13 and 14-year-old children into the bathroom and help them in all those areas because there's not enough room for them to get in there themselves. Yeah. And, those kids deserve more dignity than that. They deserve more privacy than that. And the parents deserve more than that, because parents want their kids to have independence. They want them to be able to experience and grow,
and it's hard,
like the rest of us have.
That's hard to deal with that problem.
Everybody deserves that level of privacy, that level of dignity. And if you can't get it in your own home, then that's just a shame. Yeah. I don't expect the whole world to change for a single person. But I think a group of people can change the world around one person. I don't think that's unfeasible at all.
I think, what you're doing is you're bringing awareness to as many people as you can. You're bringing awareness to about a certain subject, which is a fixable subject. It really is. It's construction for children under 17 with a physical handicap that have a physical need, and what you're doing is not unrealistic, right? You're just saying, look, if you have somebody that and you can bring them to us, we want to go and try to meet their needs in their own home in a construction fashion. Let's fix what we can and make it more easy for them to get around. Let's make it so that they can get into the bathroom in their wheelchair or whatever their mobile device is.
Or even make modifications to the bathroom itself to where they can, if they only have, some of the older homes, they have a tub shower combo, right? Well, you can't get any kind of a device in there. So if that's the case, how can we modify the bathroom to include a separate shower where somebody could get in there? So, you're talking about big picture down the road. Well, I kind of went way down the road, but in the next couple of years, that is something we'd like to undertake, is where we could do complete room remodels, add-on rooms even. This house is only a 1.5 bath. Well, how can we turn it into a 2.5 bath? Where, we get our contractors and our plumbers and everybody involved and say, look, so here's the child's bedroom. What do we have to do to attach a bathroom onto this room? That's completely separate. Yeah. Now this child has his own room, own bathroom. It's separate from the rest of the house. That can be their designated space.
That's cool.
So those are just some things we'd really like to tackle in the next couple of years. And with those projects, it will be more important just to have the resources, and by that I mean money.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we will ask our contractors to participate as much as they can, you know, in donating material, time in some cases, labor if it's possible. But again, people have to make a living. I don't work for free, and I don't expect somebody else to.
Sure.
So if you know, you as a plumber, you have to pay somebody a day's work to come and do this work, then fine, we'll pay for that. That's somebody's livelihood, and I don't expect them and their family to go without for this. Right. Now, unless they say, look, I'm willing to be a part of it. I'm willing to donate my time and that kind of. But we just want our contractor stuff to participate a little bit with us. Cut the cost where they can. If we can save on material, some of the labor, you know, if they have, it requires 2 men, but they usually use 3.
Right. That
kind of stuff, to where the foundation can just save money on the expense.
Sure.
Then we can pass those savings forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can do more for other children that are in that need.
Absolutely.
Right? Man, that's awesome. I appreciate you coming and telling us about what you guys are doing, how you're doing it. You were kind enough to kind of walk us through the step-by-step process. And hey, for families that are trying to figure this out, you know, they're just living with it, right? They don't, okay, where do we start? What do we do? Yeah. But at least here is a solution. Corey and the Abbey's House Foundation are providing a solution for this situation so that y'all can come to them and they can come out and assess and help and bring in contractors or work with contractors and start to figure out how to bring dignity.
Absolutely.
To help bring dignity to those families and those children in this situation. So, man, I've been enlightened, and
you're aware.
I feel like I've been a little more aware. I'm a little less ignorant,
you know, and that's what it's all
I
about.
appreciate that, you know, and that's part of the journey for Giving is Good, is to shine a light on, you know, foundations like yourself that are doing things that people don't know exist.
Right, and that's what we're all here to do. Is every day you should become a little bit more aware and a little less ignorant, no matter what it's about. Right. You should become a little bit more aware about something and a little less ignorant about something else. But for those who are interested in contacting Abbey's House, we do have a website. It's abbey'shandyhome.com. So Abbey's, HANDIHOME.com. You'll find all the contact information you'll need on there. And if you are feeling so generous enough to donate, there are ways to donate directly through the website. And again, 100% of it stays in the foundation, is used for our purposes. So you can contact me or Beth or any one of us through the links on the website. We'd be happy to talk to you about it if you know somebody or if you personally have been affected and would like some help.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
I know you've got stuff to do. Thank you for stopping by and sharing with us and educating us.
Pleasure to be here. And thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity. And myself and the foundation and the families we service really do appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate you being here. Thank you.